Welcome to another Optivity webinar, where we are exploring exciting topics in health innovation, cutting-edge technologies, and living well. You are joined by hundreds of people like yourself who are interested in learning more about women's health. And today is International Women's Day. We want to celebrate all the Wonder Women out there who are making a difference in their organizations, in their communities, and within their families. And I'm your host, Tasneem. Welcoming you to this community webinar on the important topic of women's health. Today, we will talk about the common risk factors and useful preventative measures. Here with me to chat about this topic is our CEO, Jane. A little bit of background about us and our professional experience. Jane spent almost a decade in health management with patients from clinical research. Her expertise are in adherence, helping patients prevent adverse events with daily micro interactions. And I'm Tasneem. I'm a wellness advisor at Optivity, creating content for specialized topics for our clients to address chronic health issues. My background is in health policy, and I'm passionate about health equity. My dream is to eliminate social and economic barriers that restrict someone from getting access to the right information and care to obtain their optimal health. As the hundreds of guests arrive, I want to take a moment to go over some housekeeping items to give you the best webinar experience. So please connect to audio using your computer's microphone and speakers, or select Use Telephone after joining the webinar to turn on sound. All guest lines are muted to avoid background noise. Type in your questions in the tool and we will answer them during the QA period. After the webinar, we will reach out if we don't get to any questions. The slides and webinar recordings will be sent out to you to share with others. There are 3 handouts from this session. One is breast self-examination guide. The other one is a visual guide of serving sizes using your hand. They are downloadable in the tool. So after these rules, let's begin. At Optivity, we provide a dynamic wellness tool for companies to engage people like yourself in achieving optimal health. In fact, Optivity means the state of being the best. We provide a mobile app that is personalized to you, your job function, your gender, and your health goals. We support you with a robust and holistic health content library spanning everything from physical exercise, nutrition, mental health, to financial wellness, and in this case, women's health topics. We also recommend activities to you based on other people like yourself, so similar jobs, similar personalities, and similar goals. You can access the Pocket Coach via any mobile device or via our website. It is a pocket health coach that syncs with your calendar to give you small, fun challenges which earn you hundreds of dollars of rewards. And of course, a lot of bragging rights and better health. The reason we provide webinars is because we want to help address some key issues in proactive health coaching, such as low participation, poor adherence, and no adaptation of the program based on who the person is. We provide a fully integrated health coaching solution that turns raw data into insight and helpful daily tips, and have achieved over 77% participation in 2016 and 2017. Our weekly adherence rate is averaged at 43%, which means people are able to use the technology consistently and change their lives and habits, bit by bit, every day, every week, leading to better health. We adapt the program to popular topics and your interests on the go. So today, we will be sharing our knowledge and giving you useful tips that you can take back to you and your organization and use yourself, even if you don't have Optivity yet. On today's agenda, we will talk about common health issues experienced by women, preventative measures to control risk factors, the role of technology to facilitate wellness and prevention for these risk factors, and some simple exercise and tips you can practice to promote health for women in your organization and community. So Jane, I know you're quite passionate about women in the workplace, and also today is the International Celebration of Women. Can you share with us a bit about the history of women in the workplace and the top 3 health issues you see?
Yes, definitely. So for all of us out here, happy International Women's Day. Each year, March 8th is an opportunity for us to celebrate the contribution of women and renew our efforts in achieving gender equality in Canada and all around the world. A little bit of history for those of you who are curious. The beginning of the International Women's Day can be traced back to early 20th century, emerging from the activities of the labor movement in North America and Europe, and reflecting on the growing movement of women who are participating equally in society. And I have to say that we're lucky today that women like Taz and myself can thrive in our work and community and being recognized for the quality of work that we contribute and that we produce. So present day, International Women's Day is celebrated around the world. In many countries, it's a national holiday, international holiday, and it's grown to be one of the global days of recognition for women's achievements. And the call to action for all of us supporting women's rights and advancing gender equality. We've come a long way to see women growing socially, economically, culturally, and politically. Achievements of women can be seen really in all realms of the workplace. Of course, in the STEM sectors, which is science, technology, engineering, mathematics, there is still a lot of work to be done about the ratio of women. So big pats on the back for those of us who have achieved, helped achieve over the last few decades, but definitely more work to be done towards the next few decades going forward. Those of you that do know me know that I always approach things with a statistical view. So some statistics about women in the workplace. Prior to World War II, unmarried women have historically been seen in the workplace, and the married women have not. This is the pattern that was kind of broken by the Second World War, where unprecedented amount of married women began entering the workforce to really support the economy and support the war effort. And in the 1980s, another trend emerged where women with young children, especially preschoolers, began seeking employment outside of the home in large numbers. And this is where kind of families with double sets of incomes become normal because both parents are supporting the financial needs of a modern household. So 70% of women with children under age 18 now work outside of the home. Thus, the majority of women with children in the United States now occupy both work and also family roles, so balancing a lot. In both Canada and the United States, there's a dramatic increase that have taken place in women's labor force. That's been even more participation in work over the last recent decades. In the 1900s, 18% of the workforce, 18, so 1/8% of the workforce was women. In the 1960s, 33% was made of women, and today it's actually well over half of the labor force is female. So although the same ratio does not hold to be true for higher management roles, and there's definitely lots of work that we're working on promoting that too. In fact, women actually make up about 2/3 for certain sectors, such as the public sector workforce. The women make up almost 2/3 of that workforce. So as you can see, we've come a very long way to see the growth of female presence in the workforce. And today, people are employed, women are employed in every industry, nearly every kind of job. To me, women's health is very important because I am a woman. So it's a topic also that has an importance from a statistical and also business perspective, because more than half of the workforce is women. While the life expectancy is higher for women than men in most countries, a number of health and social factors can be combined to create a lower quality of life for women in general. So most chronic disease manifest themselves for people between 35 and 55 years old. The chronic disease incidence and prevalence among women workers is also likely to increase at the same rate as people approach that age. The health issues have ramifications for the quality of life of the particular individual, but also for the quality of work. It affects the rates for both short-term or long-term disability usage in the workplace. And when I get asked, what is the relationship between work and health for women, I actually cite a lot of studies on women, work, and health, which suggests that employment actually benefits women's health. So working makes us healthier. Overall, employed women enjoy better health in both subjective and objective health status indicators. So for example, the findings for the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey indicates that employed women have a greater sense of well-being and lower use of professional services to cope with mental health problems than unemployed women. Really, really interesting statistic here. So as we know, the nature of the work and also the work environment can set in motion certain health outcomes, both positive and negative. And the same holds true for women. So in the work site, this could be a source of solution that improves the health outcomes and also a place to promote healthy daily activities. So in today's webinar, we're going to talk about the top 3 health issues that we see that women face and how to prevent them. So the number one I'm going to talk about is health for the heart disease and stroke. 2 main cardiovascular diseases, and the first and the third cause of death for women in North America. So despite of many women's fear of breast cancer, heart disease is actually the #1 killer of women in North America. Heart disease has claimed more lives of women compared to men. Which is also a surprising statistic. Women are more likely than men to die within a few weeks of a heart attack. So leading a healthy lifestyle is really important for women because it can lower your risk of heart disease regardless of your gender. So heart or cardiovascular disease refers to the condition relating to the process where plaques build up in the walls of the arteries. And the buildup narrows the arteries, which forces the heart to work harder and pump blood and potentially stopping the blood flow if a clot forms. So the blocked blood vessel can lead to chest pain, heart attack, stroke, other conditions such as those affect the heart muscle, the valves, or the rhythm are also considered different forms of heart disease. 8.6 million women worldwide die from heart disease each year. It's always a painful statistic to talk about. For those who have a heart attack, 42% will die within that year. But when a woman under 50 has a heart attack, it's twice as likely to be fatal than a heart attack in a man under 50. So while many women may be unaware of the fact that they're suffering from heart disease until a health incident, such as a stroke or attack occurs, there are a bunch of red flags that you should be aware of to better detect these problems early and preventatively. So I'm going to go through some possible symptoms and some risk factors. So the 3 possible symptoms I'm going to go through is breathlessness after moderate exercise, chest pain, and tiring easily. They may seem quite vague, but you should pay attention to them because it may be it's an early sign that something is wrong. Some of the risk factors for heart disease is high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes and prediabetes, smoking, pain or tingling in the upper extremities, so this is your arms and fingers, fluttering in the chest, lightheadedness, dizziness, and being overweight or physically inactive. So later on, Taz is going to go through a bunch of preventive measures that you can use at the workplace and also at home, but heart disease is something we did a full webinar on it last month. It's #1, even though it may not be very sexy to talk about, it is definitely a focus for those of us who want to address the top issues. Number two is cancer. So cancer falls in the second as a second leading cause of death among women. Breast cancer is definitely one of the most feared by women these days. You're linked to it either through like family history or irregularities of the menstrual cycle at an early age. These are the main risk factors. Some of the other risk factors include excess in weight, excessive alcohol consumption, a very high-fat diet, and vitamin A deficiency. So up to 1/3 of all death for breast cancer could be prevented through a routine mammography or early or better lifestyle choices on controlling alcohol and high-fat diet. So I think that's really important to take a look at. Another one is actually really high as well. The highest is lung cancer. It's now the leading cancer of death amongst women. And it's surpassed breast cancer, almost 1 in 4 women, so 23.1% of women, which equates to 27 million women in North America currently smoke. And that's 27 million too many. If you stop smoking and reducing exposure to environmental tobacco, could really help reduce the risk of chronic lung disease and also lung cancer. Work environments characterized by high demand, stress, low control may also significantly associated with smoking for professional women, and this is why sometimes even when we look at the women who work for hospitals, health systems, really high stress, low control, you see a lot of women smokers. So I was just at a conference in Las Vegas, and you walk around some of these shop floors or casino floors, and you can see smoking. So it's really interesting that that even in now all this research is out there on how dangerous this is. We ourselves still have to take some measures and make sure that we avoid the environmental smoke, but also try to quit that nasty habit if we can. So the research and literature data from the Women in Health study indicates that women who are smokers are more likely than non-smokers to report higher levels of depression and also tension. The data supports a model suggesting that many women who use cigarette smoking to cope with stress and negative mood is kind of the leading cause of why they take up smoking or they keep with it. The studies over the last several decades also demonstrated that smoking is a behavior that's associated with higher utilization of disability, reduced longevity, and higher healthcare costs for the employer-paid health insurance claims. And the third culprit is mental health. Women are more prone than men to experience anxiety and depression at any age. So although the reason why women experience higher levels of depressions are unknown, many experts believe that the pressures of balancing work and family responsibilities, including children as well as aging parents, these multi-generational type of stresses, can lead to additional mental health burden. So although the death by suicide is higher for men, attempted suicide rates are actually higher in women. So helping to educate women on mental health issues proactively, preventatively, actually gives them the confidence to seek assistance and to speak to their doctor. This is all very vital for us. So some of the early warning signs, we're going to go through this, are persistent sadness, feelings of helplessness, becoming socially withdrawn, suffering recent life crisis, personality changes, dramatic personality changes, feelings of worthlessness, alcohol or drug abuse, frequent thoughts about death, dramatic changes in eating or sleeping habits, extremely high or low moods, and this is also called manic episodes. Decreased energy or fatigue, increased fear and worry and thoughts of suicide. Some of the preventive steps that you can take, that people can take, is that first of all, is to recognize that you can't just get over depression. It's actually a disease. It needs to be, it can be conquered if you do reach out for help and professional help, but it is a disease. So definitely talk to your doctor. Talk to family and friends. So the people that within your support network is really important in maintaining happiness in general, and not just maintaining our mental health, in which happiness is a very important ingredient. Exercise, eating well, and getting plenty of sleep for maintenance. And then do not ignore stress, right? It may be hard to avoid, but you should definitely be vocal and get support, and just recognize, right? There's a really good set of recommendations even within the app, but just for yourself, and calling out when something is stressful, just noting. So it's a technique called noting, just noting, hey, I am stressed right now, right? Knowing your limits, it's totally okay to ask for help, and definitely do not self-medicate, right? Ask for professional. Don't, do not turn to alcohol or smoking or tobacco for the immediate dopamine hit or anything like that. I think it's great that now mental health is not such a huge taboo topic. It's getting better. There's still lots of work to do. You can see that in the workers' compensation data, there is an increase in claims for psychological disorders reported as a result of job experience. So in 1986, women were twice as likely to file a stress claim as a male employee. And in the stress claims for men and women average to about $8,000 compared to the average injury claim, which is about $4,000. So just empirically, it's twice as more expensive for that.
Yes, that is what makes our work at Optimity so meaningful. Regular physical activity has many health benefits for women, among them reduced risk of dying from heart disease and developing high blood pressure, cancer, and diabetes. Regular physical activity can increase endurance, allowing people to carry out activities more easily. We also want to pay attention to nutrition, because nutrition is key. A healthy diet can really make a difference in preventing preventable health outcomes. And the third one is quit smoking. I know people look to smoking as a stressing coat, but limiting smoking has a huge impact on your life. So the number one preventative measure is increased physical exercise. Studies have shown that those who are physically active have reduction in work absenteeism and disability time, perceived stress and anxiety levels, and improvement in perceived productivity, mood, self-esteem, and feeling of well-being. The estimated annual return on investment to companies with worksite physical activity programs like Optimity is $513 per employee, which includes lower healthcare costs and decreased loss of productivity. When looking at physical inactivity, we find a positive association between lack of physical activity and workplace productivity loss, both in terms of absenteeism and presenteeism. An employee not performing the recommended 150 minutes of exercise per week reports on average 1.91 percentage point higher work impairments due to absenteeism and presenteeism compared to an employee who performs the recommended amount of physical activity. The number two preventative measure is better nutrition, because being overweight increases the risk of developing coronary heart disease, non-insulin dependent diabetes, high blood pressure, and cholesterol. In an analysis, research found that women who were younger, less well-educated, or smokers were more likely to consume a higher fat diet. High-fat diets, in combination with sedentary lifestyle, are implicated in the increasing prevalence of obesity observed in the last decades among Americans. Looking at nutritional risk factors, we find two factors associated with productivity loss. First, an employee who is not in the healthy range of consumption of added fats reported on average a 1.4 percentage point higher work impairment due to absenteeism and presenteeism than an employee in the healthy range. Second, an employee consuming a sugary drink outside of the healthy range shows an average of 0.47 percentage point higher on work impairment due to absenteeism and or presenteeism than an employee in the healthy range. So some of the top tips that we can look at are one of the activities I like promoting for physical activity and preventing illness is physical challenges. One of them is jumping jacks. It's one of my favorite high impact exercise. It's simple to do and it requires really no equipment whatsoever. It increases one's heart rate and works the entire body. Another top tip for nutrition is to eat healthy. Eating healthy is essential for a healthy life. I can't stress that enough. One of the tips that I had for eating healthy is being mindful. A lot of times we might think we're eating healthy, and we are, but we're not being mindful of the portions, and as a result, we're overeating. We should become more aware of the proper serving sizes in order to eat within our limits and lead a healthier and healthier life. To help you out to see a visualization of like portion controls, we've uploaded a handout of serving sizes. So feel free to look at that and really take that into account the next time you eat. The last tip I wanted to discuss was around stress. So as we mentioned, stress is really huge. And in this, oftentimes people, especially women, look to unhealthy habits like smoking in order to cope with the stress they may be facing in their lives. For starters, we need to become aware of which situations are causing us stress and look for a way to avoid it or cope with it in a healthier manner. For those who choose smoking, it's about time to start quitting. Easier said than done, I know. But it's huge. It's a huge step forward in order to avoid preventable diseases. One of the tips from the app suggests that when you get a craving coming on, it's good to drink water. Water has a calming effect, so it'll help you ease any cravings you might be getting. In addition, it'll help flush out any chemicals in your bodies from the cigarettes. We have a lot of content available from Optimity, like past webinars and blogs you can look to for more detailed information. If you're looking for more help with how to eat healthy or looking for more tips on mindful meditation in order to reduce stress. So this is just a picture of one of the handouts that we uploaded. So as you can see, like a serving of peanut butter or 2 tablespoons, which is 1 serving, is the size of a golf ball. A lot of times we go overboard with this, like especially with cheese. It's about the size of 4 cubes. And I know a lot of us just chunk into all of that cheese, those cheese and crackers. So we have to start being mindful. We're not saying that it's unhealthy, it's just a matter of how much we're eating. This is a really helpful tip. So when you're having, I know like you wouldn't be carrying around that picture with the golf ball and the teaspoon, but then this is great because you can just look at your hand and see like the visualization of what the portion should be. So like carbs should only be about a fistful, not more than that. I know majority of our plates are about like half the size when it comes to carb, but we had to step back and reduce the amount of carbs we're having, which is something that's really important when you're trying to live a healthier life. So the number 3 topic that we want to talk about is smoking cessation. Smoking leads to chronic health conditions, and it is therefore important to stress that the effects of smoking on workplace productivity may have to be interpreted from a dynamic perspective. Smoking might not have an immediate direct health or productive effect, but in the longer term it has. Studies show that half to 2/3 of all lifelong smokers will die of illness that's linked to smoking. Among lifelong smokers, death is usually caused by lung cancer, chronic obstructive lung disease, and cardiovascular disease. These diseases are often accompanied with years of ill health and corresponding loss of productivity. So, worksite programs can play an important role in increasing women's awareness of current and future health risks, such as heart disease and cancer. If you're trying to make a strong case for why it's important to support the health and well-being for your female workforce, consider the multiple independent research studies consistently showing that the corporate-sponsored health and wellness programs can benefit businesses. Not only can employer-based health and wellness program deal with the surface issue of overstressed women employees, but this strategy can also reduce health insurance costs, provide added tax incentives for employers, and increase employee attendance, retention, and productivity. The highest levels of employee engagement demonstrated a 58% higher return for shareholders, which results like this employee engagement seems to be the key to successful companies. Research suggests that as employee well-being increases, its positive effects resonates throughout the organization and teams become more productive, more collaborative, and better prepared to innovate. Although women generally participate in worksite health promotion programs and use health education services more than men, they must overcome numerous barriers such as lack of time, money, energy, and inconvenience in order to participate. Well-designed programs can help reduce barriers, which is why Optimity is great, because we try to focus it right into their daily work life in order to achieve health. So one of the key features I use in the admin platform is the HRA and retargeting. We are using this to help clients address specific high-impact issues. So Jane, could you help share some of the client cases with us?
Yes, definitely. So you may be wondering why women's health needs special attention. Well, it's because women are the fastest growing segment in the workforce, as I talked about a little bit, almost half of the workers, but also women where the majority of health care is consumed, where we're actually consuming most of the health benefits, and as well as family principles, where the family principal decision maker for our children's health and pushing sometimes our husbands to get that health check that is long overdue. So providing better health education and health promotion impact is actually super great when you focus on women, because women also disseminate that knowledge to their spouse, to their children, to their community and family members. So who benefits from the health promotion for working women? Both the employees and the family will benefit through improved quality of life and better work relations. And we like to focus on high impact issues like we did today, which is health, cancer prevention. There is a great handout that's also included today for self-breast exams and on the different nutritional factors, because women tend to prepare meals for their families. It's also high impact to address the issue with the women first, having kind of a women first approach to health promotion. Some of the cases that we see of successfully implementing wellness programs can reduce drug claims, absenteeism, achieve really high ROI, anywhere between $1.50 to $6.50 back for every dollar spent. And as Taz said, the bigger studies that we've done have shown, $513 back per employee per year on educating and implementing holistic wellness programs. We had that type of engagement with professional services firms, which employ a lot of women as well as men. In the public sector, of course, we talked about 2/3 of that workforce is women. We've saved lots of hours for the HR teams, but also you can run more programs with a digital program like this, because you don't have to spend money every time you want to bring in someone for a topic. We offer these great community webinars that's available for everyone. And then the last part is really looking at the impact, so the hard impact on dollars, on drug claims, on medical claims, benefits claims. When you focus on mental health early, when you focus on nutrition and heart disease, smoking cessation early, you can see the downturn impact as little as a year or two. So we look at stats in terms of usage. A lot of the traditional wellness portals, where it's just a website, it's not personalized, you get these blips. So people come in to here, they get a short-term benefit, sometimes some dollars to fill out some sort of survey. We find that tend to go back down around really, really low engagement after the first bit. And then the second set is really with health apps. Sometimes if it's just a mobile app, it doesn't get that usage, it will only kind of penetrate through the healthiest of your work population. So the people who need it the most are not really getting the knowledge because they're not naturally gravitating towards that. And then wearables too will tend to come off after a while because the novelty wears off. And then classroom coaching is actually this graph here, which tends to be one of the worst because it has very little follow-up. So with Optimity, we've designed it to have a recommendation engine. So similar to how you have Netflix or other sorts of other people like you have done this type of program, we also have that personalization. So that's why we see a very different shaped graph after especially the first few months when we can adapt to the user. We sync with people's calendars so that they can understand, we understand, you know, when you're busy and not busy, because you're much more likely to do the activity and get the value from the education if we're telling you about this when you're not already doing an activity. We sync with all the different apps and devices out there. So I think the current number as of last month is 461 types of devices and apps. You know, we do understand that people always make investments into wearables, or even just with your phone. Actually, about 70% of our data comes directly from the devices themselves. So if you have an Apple device or a Google device, Samsung device, you can just connect up your Apple Health or Google Fit right directly into this, and then we will help you track in one platform. So the last thing I want to talk about is in terms of health challenges and content. We supply over 3,000 of those in the platform. It covers holistic health. So I find that's really, really helpful, especially when you have different segments of your population. We offer very targeted content, including the ones that we're doing today on women's health. So overall, when you look at a program, you know, the 5 pillars that we support is improved productivity, reduction in health costs, stronger culture, helping you have the benefit to attract and retain talent, and the last part in measuring morale. So improving that morale. The Optimity experience is simple notifications on people's mobile phone. You can go directly into the mobile application or the web application and just do a small micro activity, which are these activities between 30 seconds and 2 minutes. And they are usually linked together into a micro course, which has learning modules, action modules, and test modules, which allows someone to really kind of take that journey to embrace a new habit versus just, I think a lot of people know what to do, but it's knowing what to do coupled with the will to do it, with the incentive to do it, and with the time to do it. So as the employees are making healthier choices on their own, on their mobile devices, the organization can be more strategic and pull up on specializing and promoting activities that help them with productivity. So today we really highlighted women as a really key segment to push educational content to, because it has a multiplier effect. Not only does it help them, it also affects the group with them. The average health state after using Optimity for 90 days is actually quite dramatic. So we measure it on 7 different pillars, everything from stress levels to energy levels to nutrition, drinking water, so on, stretch breaks. So you can see the change in standard deviation as well as the average score improves even within 90 days. And we measure that through the health risk assessment that Taz talked a little bit about before. So let's summarize a little bit about what we talked about. We are going to make the slides available right after the webinar. We've noticed some questions about seeing the slides. I noticed that the slides were not up for the first part of the webinar, so we'll make sure that to send it along to everybody.
So we talked about why women's health is important and the major health conditions that impact the women. We also looked at preventative measures one can take to improve their health. So that was the healthy eating, the physical activity, and also the smoking cessation. Step away from the smoking, put it down, take a nice drink of water. It's calming, it's good for you, either if you smoke or if you don't. Overall, it's calming for you. So what workplaces can do to foster better conditions to help women flourish in their workplace pushing out that concept towards women is really key in order for better help for them, better productivity for the company, and just overall. So if you're interested in learning more about creating a healthy workplace campaign and engagement strategy, please do reach out to us. So you can contact us at engaged@myopportunity.com, or you can directly contact me at tasneem@myopportunity.com. So once again, happy International Women's Day, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.